Right now, you're living in a prison. Not one with bars or walls, but something far worse. A prison built from the opinions of people who don't matter. Every time you hesitate before speaking, every time you second-guess your decisions, every time you shrink yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you're reinforcing the chains. And here's the brutal truth. The people whose approval you're chasing, they're not thinking about you at all. They're too busy worrying about what others think of them. You're suffering for an audience that doesn't exist. Machiavelli understood something most men will never grasp. He wrote that the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. But the man who cares what sheep think will never become either. He'll spend his entire life performing for a crowd that forgets him the moment he leaves the stage. This video is not about feeling better. It's not about positive thinking or self-love. This is about complete psychological liberation. You're going to learn how to kill the voice inside you that asks, what will they think? You're going to learn how to move through this world, immune to judgment, indifferent to criticism, and untouchable by social pressure. Watch closely, because once you stop caring what people think, you don't just gain confidence, you gain something far more dangerous: freedom. You weren't born caring what strangers think, you were trained to. From the moment you could speak, you were taught to behave, to follow rules, to seek approval. Your parents rewarded you when you made them look good. Your teachers praised you when you obeyed. Your friends accepted you when you conformed. And slowly, without realizing it, you became addicted to external validation. You stopped asking, what do I want? And started asking, what do they want from me? That's domestication. What lives inside you right now is not a man. It's a performer, a people pleaser, a trained animal who's learned that love, respect, and safety only come when others approve. And every time someone frowns, every time someone judges, every time someone withdraws their affection, you panic, because deep down, you've been programmed to believe that their opinion determines your worth. That's the lie. That's the cage. And if you don't destroy it, you will never be free. Machiavelli didn't care if the people loved him. He cared if they respected his power. He didn't waste time explaining his choices. He made decisions and let history catch up, because he understood something you're just beginning to see. The moment you need approval, you've already lost. The moment you fear judgment, you've already surrendered control. Your life is not a democracy. It's a kingdom. And in your kingdom, there is only one vote that matters: yours. So let's begin the execution. The execution of the weak version of you that still trembles when someone doesn't like what you said. The version that apologizes for taking up space. The version that changes his opinions based on who's in the room, because a ruthless mindset isn't built on confidence. It's built on indifference. And indifference is the ultimate power. Most people believe caring what others think is a sign of empathy, of being a good person. But here's the truth Machiavelli saw clearly. Caring too much about others' opinions isn't kindness, it's weakness. It's fear dressed up as virtue, and it makes you controllable. Think about it. Who controls your emotions right now? If a stranger can ruin your day with one comment, they own you. If a co-worker's opinion can make you doubt yourself, they control you. If you change your behavior because you're afraid of judgment, you're not free. You're a puppet, and everyone around you is pulling the strings. The world doesn't reward sensitivity to opinion. It rewards those who act with certainty. Look at every powerful person you know. You gazes, CEOs, leaders, athletes, creators. Do they stop and ask permission before making moves? Do they poll the crowd before taking risks? Hell no. They decide, they act, and they let the world adjust, because they understand that the people who matter don't judge you for your choices. They respect you for making them. And the people who judge you, they don't matter. They're spectators. And spectators don't build empires. They watch from the sidelines while others do. Here's what weak men don't understand. When you care what people think, you give them power over your reality. They don't even need to say anything. You create their judgment in your own mind. You imagine what they're thinking. You assume they're watching. You torture yourself with phantom opinions that don't even exist. That's insane. You're letting invisible critics control your life. You're building a prison in your own head and then wondering why you feel trapped. Machiavelli would tell you to stop. Stop imagining their thoughts. Stop assuming their judgment. Stop giving them space in your mind. Because the moment you do, you take your power back. The moment you realize that most people aren't even thinking about you, you're free. And even if they are judging you, so what? Their opinion doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't build your future. It doesn't define your worth. It's just noise. And noise only has power if you listen to it. So here's your first ruthless rule. Stop asking for feedback you don't need. Stop seeking validation for decisions you've already made. Stop explaining yourself to people who can't affect your outcome. The more you explain, the weaker you look. The more you justify, the more you signal that you're unsure. They make them and move on. If people don't understand, that's their problem. If people disagree, that's their opinion. If people judge, that's their entertainment. None of it touches you because you've already decided, and once you decide, the conversation is over. Now, let's talk about the trap most men fall into, the trap of being liked. You've been told your whole life that being liked is important, that popularity matters, that fitting in is the goal. But Machiavelli knew better. He said it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But beyond that is something even more powerful. To be indifferent to whether you're loved or feared, to move through life so grounded in your own purpose that other people's reactions become irrelevant. Think about the people you respect most. Are they the ones who try hard to be liked, the ones who bend themselves into shapes to please everyone? No. You respect the ones who stand firm, the ones who don't apologize for who they are, the ones who speak their truth even when it's uncomfortable. Why? Weakness repels. Here's the brutal reality. The more you try to be liked, the less people respect you. Because when you change yourself for others, they sense it. They smell the desperation. They see you twisting and bending, and it disgusts them. Not because you're a bad person, but because you're not a person at all. You're a mirror. You reflect whatever they want to see. And mirrors don't inspire respect. They inspire pity. So stop performing. Stop code switching. Stop laughing at jokes that aren't funny. Stop agreeing with opinions you don't hold. Stop pretending to care about things that bore you. Every time you do that, you betray yourself. And every betrayal makes you weak. Machiavelli would say, the man who betrays himself for approval has already lost the only battle that matters, the battle for his own soul. You want to be liked, fine, but understand the cost. The cost is your authenticity. The cost is your power. The cost is your freedom. And once you pay that cost, you'll realize it wasn't worth it. Because the people who like you for pretending aren't liking you. They're liking the character you play. And when you get tired of performing, when the mask slips, they'll abandon you, not because you changed, but because you were never real to begin with. But here's what happens when you stop caring. When you show up as yourself, unfiltered, unapologetic, unashamed, some people will hate you, some will judge you, some will reject you. And that's exactly what you want, because those people were never your people. They were never going to support you. They were only there as long as you played small. The moment you rise, the moment you stop bending, they'll leave, and you'll finally see them for what they were, dead weight. And once they're gone, something incredible happens. The right people show up, the ones who respect strength, the ones who value authenticity, the ones who don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be real, and you'll never find them as long as you're hiding behind a mask of approval seeking. Now, let's destroy another lie. The lie that criticism means you're doing something wrong. Most people hear criticism and immediately panic. They think, I need to change. I need to fix this. I need to make them happy. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. He'd say, criticism is proof you're doing something. Proof you're visible. Proof you're threatening someone's comfort. The only people who never get criticized are the ones who do nothing, the ones who play it safe. And those people die without ever living. So if someone criticizes you, good. It means you're taking up space. It means you're making waves. It means you're not invisible. The question isn't, how do I stop the criticism? The question is, does this criticism come from someone I respect? If yes, if no, ignore it completely. Here's the filter. Ask yourself, would I trade places with this person? Would I want their life? Would I respect their opinion if it came from someone else? If the answer is no, then their criticism is worthless. It's not feedback, it's projection. They're trying to pull you down because your rise exposes their stagnation, and the worst thing you can do is slow down to make them comfortable. Machiavelli said, "The man who rises will always be attacked by those who wish they had his courage. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you've changed. They'll accuse you of being cold, selfish, ruthless. Let them. Those are compliments from people who can't handle your transformation. They prefer you weak because your weakness made them feel safe, but now you're strong, and strength makes the weak uncomfortable. So when they criticize, smile. When they judge, nod. When they try to shame you back into the cage, walk away, because you're not here to make them feel better about their choices. You're here to live your life, and their discomfort is not your responsibility. Now let's talk about the most dangerous opinion of all, the one that lives inside your own head. The voice that whispers, what if they're right? What if I'm being too much? What if I should tone it down? That voice is not your conscience. That voice is your conditioning. It's the accumulated judgment of every person who ever told you to be smaller, quieter, safer, and it's the final boss you need to defeat. Most men think the battle is external. They think if they can just ignore other people, they'll be free. It's the war between the man you're becoming and the boy you were trained to be. The boy who sought approval, the boy who feared rejection, the boy who believed his worth came from outside validation. That boy is still in there, and he's terrified. He's terrified that if you stop caring what people think, you'll be alone. He's terrified that if you stop performing, you'll be rejected. He's terrified that if you become too strong, too confident, too unapologetic, the world will punish you. But here's the truth. That fear is a lie. It's a story you've been telling yourself to stay safe, but safety is not freedom. Safety is just a comfortable prison. Machiavelli would tell you to kill that voice, not with violence, but with action. Every time it tells you to shrink, expand. Every time it tells you to apologize, stand firm. Every time it tells you to seek approval, make a decision without asking. That's how you reprogram yourself. That's how you replace the conditioning with strength. One act of defiance at a time. And here's what happens when you do that consistently. The voice gets quieter, not because it's convinced, but because it realizes it has no power over you anymore. You've proven through action that you can survive without approval. You've proven that rejection doesn't destroy you. You've proven that judgment is just noise. And once you prove that to yourself, no one else's opinion will ever touch you again. But let's be honest. This transformation isn't easy because the world will test you. People will push back. They'll try to guilt you. They'll say you've become arrogant, cold, selfish. They'll accuse you of not caring about anyone. And in those moments, you'll be tempted to explain yourself, to prove you're still a good person, to show them you're not the villain they're making you out to be. Explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you is a waste of breath. Machiavelli knew this. He didn't write the print to be liked. He wrote it to be understood by those with the intelligence to see. Their opinion didn't matter. He let them rage. He let them condemn. And 500 years later, we're still reading his words while his critics are forgotten. That's the power of not caring. You outlast the noise. You outlive the judgment. You build something so undeniable that eventually even your harshest critics have to acknowledge it. But that only happens if you keep moving. If you stop to defend yourself every time someone attacks, you'll never build anything. You'll spend your entire life justifying your existence instead of living it. So here's the final ruthless rule. Let your results speak. Let your success be the response to every critic who said you couldn't. Don't waste words on people who aren't listening. Don't waste energy on battles that don't matter. Just move, build, rise, and let them choke on your dust. Now understand this. Stopping caring what people think doesn't mean becoming a sociopath. It doesn't mean treating people poorly or being needlessly cruel. It means understanding the difference between people who matter and people who don't. It means protecting your energy from those who drain it. It means reserving your care for those who've earned it. Machiavelli wasn't against relationships. He was against dependency. He wasn't against kindness. He was against weakness. And there's a massive difference. A strong man can afford to be kind because his kindness comes from abundance, not from fear. He's kind because he chooses to be, not because he's afraid of what happens if he's not. That's power. That's freedom. That's the ruthless mindset. So care about the people who care about you. Respect the people who respect you. Love the people who love you. But everyone else, they get nothing. No explanation, no justification, no emotional energy. They exist in your world as background noise. And background noise doesn't deserve a response. You've now been given the formula for complete psychological liberation. You know how to identify the prison of approval seeking. You know how to destroy the voice that begs for validation. You know how to filter criticism. You know how to walk away from people who demand you stay small. And you know how to build a life so powerful that other people's opinions become irrelevant. But knowledge is nothing without action. And action requires one thing: the willingness to be misunderstood, the willingness to be judged, the willingness to walk alone if necessary. Because here's the final truth: the path to freedom is lonely at first. When you stop performing, when you stop seeking approval, when you stop caring what people think, most people will leave, and that will hurt. But it's temporary pain for permanent freedom. Machiavelli said, "It's better to be feared than loved." But the ultimate power is to need neither, to move through this world so certain of yourself that love and fear are just reactions you observe but don't require. That's when you become untouchable. That's when you become free. That's when you become ruthless. You are no longer the man who shrinks. You are no longer the man who apologizes for existing. You are no longer the man who bends to make others comfortable. You are the man who decides, the man who acts, the man who builds his reality on his own terms and lets the world adjust. You don't need their approval. You don't need their acceptance. You don't need their validation. You have yourself, and that is enough. So walk forward, speak your truth, make your choices, quote, empire. And when they judge, when they criticize, when they try to pull you back into the prison of their expectations, smile, because you know something they don't. You know that their opinion doesn't matter. You know that their judgment has no power. You know that you are free. And freedom, true freedom, is the most dangerous weapon a man can wield. Like this video if you're done performing. Subscribe if you're ready to become the kind of man who no longer asks for permission, because this isn't self-help. This is self-sovereignty, and you just became ungovernable.